Where does it end there? Do the rights for the LGBTQ plus community now go out the window? Like, all the progress that has been made decades upon decades, what happens to that? Do civil rights go out the window? Who knows? What up? It's Dramos, and this is the recap, of course, as I do each and every week, breaking down some of the biggest headlines from this last week. And I gotta tell y'all, I am not happy about some of the news that we've been seeing this last week, so I cleared the schedule. I am flying solo because I need to vent about all that is going on in this world. A lot of BS to get to this week. So let's hop into it, man. All right, so this last week we saw as the Supreme Court voted to strike down the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, and this was according to an initial draft majority opinion that was written by Justice Samuel Alito that circulated inside the court and then was then leaked and obtained by Politico. Now, for anybody not familiar, Roe v. Wade is the landmark case that allows women to have abortions in this country, that gives them the right to choose what does or does not happen with their body. Now, I know for many out there, this is triggering. You know, how could we allow women to make that choice, right? Let's dive a bit deeper into this story. And actually, I first want to premise it by saying, while this has come out, it is in fact true, it is real, it doesn't mean that it's final. Now, all implications will lead us to believe that this is probably going to be the final decision and final opinion of the Supreme Court. But again, these leaked documents are not final word. They are just an initial draft. And it's important to say that deliberations on controversial cases like this one in the past have been fluid. Justices can sometimes, change their votes as the draft opinions begin to circulate, and major decisions can be subject to multiple drafts and vote trading, sometimes until just days before a decision is unveiled. Now, the court's holding will not be made final until it's published, and they're saying this is likely within the next 2 months. Now, this ruling was drafted in February, right? And we don't know, again, what has or hasn't changed since then. But what was written would end a half-century guarantee of federal constitutional protection of abortion rights and allow each state to individually decide whether or not to restrict or ban abortion. And again, we don't know if changes have been made to the draft since we've seen this leak. But it's still a really, really scary thing to see. I mean, we've seen states like Texas and Florida drafting all kinds of proposals about putting crazy restrictions on abortions. And then you ask, okay, where is this all coming from? Where do people stand on this? And let's discuss it a bit. Obviously, this is coming from the Republican Party mostly. I mean, you had President Biden publicly saying that he supports a woman's right to choose. And the scary thing about this decision, this draft, is the implications that it has for Supreme Court justices having political bias, right? The Supreme Court is the ultimate court in this country. They are supposed to be unbiased. They are supposed to listen to facts and then make a decision based upon said facts. But what we're seeing here is, with this draft, this opinion that has been leaked, that the justices are leaning towards the opinions of the presidents that appointed them for their position. They are having a public opinion when it comes to politics, essentially. Now, let's talk about what the Democrats have been trying to do in regards to this, right? Because we know where the Republicans stand, and now we have to watch as the Democrats, with their majority in the House and their majority in the Senate, what they will or won't do to protect the rights of women and what they want to do with their body. Now, you had Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota saying, quote, I think we need to once again bring the Women's Health Protection Act up for a vote that would guarantee that Roe v. Wade would be the law of the land. She also says that our Republican colleagues have, very sadly for the women of America, been blocking that from coming up to a vote. So now let's talk about what these shady Republicans have been doing. They have been putting into place a filibuster, right? So this Women's Health Protection Act actually passed the House, now goes on to the Senate for final approval, but the Republicans won't even allow the debate to happen because they have enacted a filibuster, which is, man, an ancient tactic to stop a debate, a conversation from even happening. Yes, I know, seems very antithetical to democracy and actually trying to get things done, that you can purposely just allow the blockage of a conversation to even happen. But hey, that's the modern world we live in, and them shady Republicans have no problem doing whatever they have to do to appease the extremist values of their base, right? Now, this act, again, would have cemented Roe v. Wade. It would have codified the laws and made this stick. But now, because of the blockage by Republicans, they can't even have the conversation, right? Now, what does this actually mean if this draft becomes the real deal, if the Supreme Court moves forward with this final decision? Well, it's actually predicted that 23 states in this country would likely ban abortions. You already have multiple states drafting all types of things, from laws that as soon as Roe v. Wade was overturned, that abortion would become banned in their state. You have restrictions. You have all of the above that are happening right now, being written in anticipation of this happening. And I want to talk about somebody whose opinion on this I really found to be moving, and somebody who I think summed it up far better than I probably ever could, because I'm a little bit emotional, a little bit angry about what I'm seeing. And she was too, but far more poised than I usually am. Now, I'm talking about Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks. And her take, again, I thought was really powerful and really appropriate for what we're seeing right now. And I'm paraphrasing, but she basically was saying, listen, I have no problem with your religious beliefs and your right to choose not to get an abortion. But in what world does it make sense that your religious beliefs should be pushed on everyone else and used as a means to tell other women what they can and can't do with their body? And I couldn't agree with this more. This is textbook colonizer mindset, right? It's the idea that anyone else's beliefs are less than yours and that everyone else has to conform to what you believe in if they want to exist. Doesn't make any sense. Who is to say that Christian values are the end-all, be-all? We literally are a country that is a melting pot, that has various cultures, and that is what makes America, America. That is what makes the United States the United States. It's the idea that we coexist amongst different cultures. The U.S. itself has no actual culture outside of the Native Americans that were raped and pillaged while the colonizers decided to set up shop here, right? And what's also ironic to me when you hear, these back and forth discussions that we've been seeing, right? When it comes to people's masks, right? When that was a thing, when mandatory mask wearing was happening and the idea of mandatory vaccinations, right? Jobs making it mandatory. You had no shortage of conservatives, Republicans coming out and saying, oh my God, the government is trying to tell me what to do with my body. And it just makes no sense. Like, having to wear a mask in public to protect the safety of others is apparently crossing the line. But telling a woman that she has to carry a baby that she does not want for 9 months is okay with you guys. Make it make sense. Make the hypocrisy make sense. Is it your body, your choice, or is it not? And let me answer that for you. It's your body, your choice when it is convenient for you and the side of the aisle that you stand on. And let's be real here. These politicians that are creating these laws, that are fighting so hard for this, it's all performance. This is all theater, baby. It's all people, out here with their jazz hands putting on a good show because they know they want to get the extreme conservative Christians to blindly vote for them. Like, I thought Republicans wanted less government. But apparently they also want the government to tell people what to do with their bodies. And what's also scary when you talk about this topic, let's talk about from a safety perspective, because everybody will be like, well, listen, you don't have to keep the baby. You carry the baby, you give it up for adoption, and you move on with your life, as if it's that simple. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I understand the trials and tribulations of what a woman goes through in the 9 months while carrying a baby plus postpartum. I don't know, but I'm also smart enough to shut the hell up when women are talking about things that I possibly could not understand. I'm shutting up, listening, and accepting your point of view because I could not possibly understand it. But the sad thing is, there are far too many men in this country eager to tell women what they should or shouldn't do with their bodies. And that is so damn scary to think about, especially when you consider how dangerous it actually is to give birth in this country. Yes, these are stats that people don't report publicly. They don't want to tell you about this, but let's discuss it. Among 11 developed countries, the United States has the highest maternal mortality rate, a relative undersupply of maternity care providers, and is the only country not to guarantee access to provider home visits or paid parental leave in the postpartum period. Think about that. And again, this is according to the Commonwealth Fund, right? Think about that last sentiment here. Not guaranteeing access to provider home visits or paid parental leave in the postpartum period. So who does that really affect? Let's get to the core of it right now. That affects low-income people in this country. And who are the majority of the low-income people in this country? The haves, the have-nots. The have-nots tend to be people of color in this country. And they won't say it. They're going to tell you this is all about religion and blah, blah, blah. But it's really about racism. It's about white supremacy. Because who is going to be affected most by this are people of color. The people who do not have access to crazy amounts of money in this country. Because let's be real. Rich white women are going to be able to cross state lines and go get an abortion wherever it's legal. They're going to be able to catch a flight to another country to go get this taken care of if they want to. But the middle class, the lower middle class, the ones that are below the poverty line, they are not going to have that same type of access. Therefore, this is only going to continue the cycle, the generational trauma, the generational poverty that continues to happen. You are only going to continue to set people back another generation if you force them to have a pregnancy and then a baby that they are not prepared to take care of. If you are already struggling and then you throw a baby on top of that, that sets this family back another generation. That sets people of color back another generation. It's literally racism disguised as these saviors of the Christian religion coming to save this blasphemous country, right? And it's also said that maternal deaths have been increasing in the United States since 2000. And although 700 pregnancy-related deaths occur each year, 2/3 of these deaths are considered to be preventable. What? Yes. Think about that. 700 pregnancy-related deaths happening each year. The number is rising. And 2/3 of them are considered to be preventable. It is not safe to give birth in this country. It is not a guarantee that everything is going to be okay. Yet, women are being forced with things like this to not have a choice if they are willing to take that risk or not. And let's talk about specifically women of color because they are the ones most affected by this. Obviously, it said that the pregnancy-related mortality rate for Black women with at least a college degree was 5.2 times that of their white counterparts. More than 5 times likely to face mortality when giving birth than their white counterparts. And I talked about people who are maybe below the poverty line, who are struggling, but we're talking about college graduates, right? So these are people that would probably, generalizing here, fall somewhere in middle class America, right? And they still are having an issue safely giving birth. They are still having an issue getting the proper treatment in this country. And that is incredibly scary to think about, especially when you have people forcing you to do something you may not feel prepared to do. I don't know what else to say about all that we're seeing in this country. It is a scary time because you think it starts with this. It starts with Roe v. Wade. It starts with abortion rights. But where does it end when these people realize that they have the power and the ability to take away people's choice over what or what doesn't happen with their body? Where does it end there? Do the rights for the LGBTQ plus community now go out the window? Like all the progress that has been made decades upon decades, what happens to that? Do civil rights go out the window? Who knows? Like you literally have people who are blatantly racist, who have extremist ideas going into office. You have Donald Trump co-signing racist people that are running for office in places like Ohio, where you have J.D. Vance now winning the Ohio Senate Republican primary, a man who literally started his campaign video asking, "Are you racist? Do you hate Mexicans?" I'm not lying. Check it out.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
Yes, those are the people that the Republican Party is backing to serve in office. It is a very scary time to be a person of color in this country. It is a scary time to be a woman in this country. It is a scary time to not be of the 1% in this country. And again, where does it end? This could just be the beginning. And I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to gaslight. I'm just trying to wake people up to the fact that there is something scary happening right now in this country. And if we don't organize, we don't come together, we don't use our voices, we don't know where this ride will end. And that scares the hell out of me when I think about my future children and the potential next generation and the world they may or may not be able to look to. It's a very scary, scary time for our country and for democracy as a whole. Whew, I know that was a lot. I had to get that off of my chest. I just want y'all to realize how important of a time it is right now, particularly for people of color, particularly for women, and those, again, who aren't sitting up there in some $1 million mansion enjoying crazy tax breaks and being a part of the 1%. Just please inform yourself, organize, understand how important this moment is. Now, with that said, of course, man, I gotta kind of give you a palate cleanser here, and we'll end on some positivity in the form of a positive quote. All right, so this week's quote comes to us from Susie Kassaman, and the quote is, "Always stand up for truth, regardless of who steps on it." And I think this is so incredibly important because I'm appealing to everybody here. I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on. You have to, if you are a logical human being, an empathetic human being, understand that what's going on right now, what's being proposed is just not right. You are free to have your religion, your political beliefs. You are free to believe whatever it is that you want, as long as you are not hurting anybody or taking away their ability to live in this world. And that's what's happening here. You're saying that because people don't share in your Christian views, that they should be losing their rights and their ability to self-govern themselves. And I don't think you would want it if it was the other way around. What if Satanism became the popular opinion here in this country? Would you feel okay that people are pushing their own narrative onto you when you have different beliefs, right? And obviously that's a bit of a silly argument, but it's the truth. Just because you believe something doesn't mean that everybody else now has to believe that. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. I understand that, and I truly empathize with anybody who views this as something, that goes against their religious beliefs. I get it. But if you have the choice to not participate in this, then how are you taking away somebody else's choice to have the same exact thought process, to go through the same motions of deciding what is or isn't best for them and their family? That's all that we're asking for. And you have to recognize that when things like this happen, when they come into play, you are literally taking away somebody's ability to choose what is best for them and their family. And I'm sure if you're very honest with yourself, you would never want somebody to do the same for you. The difference is here, somebody's life will be affected by this forever if this gets taken away. You, on the other hand, won't have any difference in your everyday life because you have the choice to do what you feel is right. You're able to self-govern. Your life doesn't change if this is legal or illegal. But for those who truly will be affected by this, it changes everything for them. And that's why I want you, if you are one of those people, falls on that side of the aisle, to take the human compassion route in all of this and look at the truth. Put aside your own personal thoughts and understand what's fair here and what is truly best for us as humans. And that's my appeal to the other side. I hope that you truly do take the time to think about what I just said. Now, with that said, thank y'all so much for participating in today's episode. And I say participating because if you made it to the end of this, you are taking in this information. You are considering it. If you disagree, at least you are investing in possibly hearing a difference of opinion from your own. And for that, I truly respect you. Now, with that said, man, I'll catch y'all next time. Hopefully, it'll be on a bit of a lighter note. And thank you for allowing me to have this platform to just vent and get all of this out there and hopefully advocate for some of y'all out there. With that said, have an amazing rest of your weekend, your week, whatever it might be. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.